Welcome back, y'all. I'm Shayna Cersei. I'm so excited to paint with you today. Thanks for joining me on my channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying these tutorials and if you enjoy this tutorial today. Today we are going to be painting a snowman in this fun little scene here. So you may be here because you just stumbled upon this tutorial, but you also may be here because you purchased one of my kits at a local event recently. So you're going to follow along with your kit, and anyone who doesn't have that, I'll go over supplies and materials as we go, and you can follow along as well. So we are going to get right to it. Don't forget to find me on social media. You can see what upcoming things are going to be happening, as well as other day-to-day things that don't end up on my YouTube channel. So you can find me on Instagram at Shayna Cersei for most of my kind of day-to-day art happenings that are taking place. You also get to see my dog a lot, so there's that too. All right, let's get started and get right into it. All right, here we go. We're going to get started on our adorable little snowman, and we are going to start by trying to keep our colors simple throughout this tutorial. That way, those of you who have a kit and have simple colors can follow along with your kit. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just some folks were able to purchase this item as a gift in person and follow along with this video. So they got outlines and some paints to go along with it. So we're going to keep our colors simple. I am just lightening up my outline here. So if you are a Studio Crew member, you can get the outline in the Studio Crew. But if you purchased a kit for this one, you will have the outline in your kit. And if not, you can definitely take a stab at drawing this outline. Pretty simple. If you're just watching this on YouTube or just want to learn more, do your own outline, more about creating backgrounds, painting white objects like a snowman, and follow along. So let's get started. I am going to be using primarily my silver black velvet brush. This is my favorite brush, size 8. And we're going to start with the background, and we're going to keep our background very simple in terms of, I'm going to create it in all one color. So I'm going to be using phthalo blue. We're going to be going around our snow person, and I'm going to give it a vignette. So it's going to be darkest around the edges and kind of get lighter towards the center, towards the snowman. All right, so I'm just generously kind of wetting and pulling out a bunch of phthalo blue. And I'm just going to start by putting this around the edges. Now I'm using 100% cotton paper. This is Arches or Arch 100% cotton paper. So it will hopefully stay wet for longer. And I'm just going to take some water. Now I do have a horizon line in here. I'm not going to go below that horizon line. I have a little bit of a background there. I'm just going to blend that. And I'm just going to keep blending with water as I get closer to my snowman. I'm going to go right over the arm. I'm not going to worry about that too much because that will be a dark color of a branch. But I am going to try to avoid the hat and the outline of the snowman. And I'm going to I'm not going to worry too much about back runs or getting that cauliflower effect, just because this is going to be like a snowy, moody, misty sky. We'll put some snow on the very end. So those can be like little clouds in the sky, little anomalies. Obviously, this isn't hyper realistic. This is more of just a fun, colorful scene. Oh, and I just painted over, which will be fine. I'm going to paint over the leaves on the hat. I have some holly leaves. Those are going to be pretty dark, so I think they'll be fine. So as you can see here, I'm getting a lighter color here. I'm just going to blend that out a little bit just so it doesn't create one big blotch right there. And I'm going to add more while this is still wet, I'm just gonna add more color to the edges here to enhance that vignette. And then it's very blocky and square right now, so I'm just gonna blend that out a little bit. I don't want it to be blocky. And maybe bring this corner in. So yeah, you can just play with this until you feel like it's interesting. It gives that kind of atmospheric, misty, snowy effect. I'm just gonna dot a little bit in there. There. Okay, I'm gonna leave it and let it dry and let it do its thing. All right, so the background is done. We have some work we're gonna do on that background in terms of adding some branches and some details with the arms of the snowman sticking up, but we're ready to move on to our snow. So I'm gonna take a little dioxazine purple, and I'm also gonna take, and I'm gonna add quite a bit of water to that, lighten it up. And I'm gonna take the tiniest bit of, you're gonna have some, oh, I can't remember the name of this color. It's orange. I'm gonna take this orange, I'm gonna add it to the dioxazine purple, and you're gonna see we're gonna get like a gray color. I will remember the name momentarily. It's definitely in the description. It's in my QOR palette. Hold on. Hold, please. It's not Quinn Gold. Oh, it's the transparent Pyrrole Orange. So I pulled a little bit. Any orange you have will work. Even a diarylide yellow, a very warm yellow will work. You just want to make gray. If you already had another gray in your palette, you can use that. You could use Payne's gray if you wanted. I like this because it has a little bit of a purplish feel to it. It has purple undertones, and I just like that for my snow, and you'll see for my snow person. So what I'm gonna do is painting the snow, we want to communicate that there are snow banks and that some of this is gonna stay white, but we do wanna put in shadows for snow banks and hills. And we're gonna do that with this very light gray color. And you're just gonna put the shadows kind of at the base of some of the hills. Some lighter ones can go over the top. You do wanna be careful close to your edge until that is fully dry. If it's fully dry, you can go right up to the edge on there. And then as that dries, I'm gonna put a shadow under the snowman too. All right, we're gonna let those dry. Making this in the foreground here a much kind of a darker shade. It's just going to be pretty gray. All right, and we're going to let these, as they dry, they're going to dry even lighter. Okay. And then we can go back in and add some final touches to bring in even some more shadows. This one got a little too dark. I'm just gonna pull that out a little bit. Okay, let those dry, let the foreground dry. And now we're gonna work on our snowman. So same principles apply with this in that we're going to use this gray color, this purpley gray color, and I'm gonna give this guy a shadow on the one side. And I'm going to go in a circular fashion here. I'm going to build my shadows. I'm going to give them a directional light from this angle. And underneath where the other kind of center of the body falls on top of this one, I'm gonna make it darker. And on the bottom here, we'll put in a shadow underneath in a little bit that's even darker. That will give this more, a little bit more substantial. Even on the side of the face, under the brim of the hat, under the scarf here. I know it looks a little weird right now, but you can see how it's starting to build shape and form. Could even put something under the carrot. Almost looks like a little mustache right now, but when we put in the other details, it'll all come together. Put a little bit more here on this side, and just under the scarf here, a little bit darker. And then right at the base. So let me make a little more of this. And the more orange you add, the browner it will get, and the more purple you add, kind of the cooler it will get. So I made this a little bit darker. I didn't add as much water because I want it to be right at the bottom here. And I'm gonna give this guy a shadow. I know it looks really dramatic. I'm just gonna take my brush with some water, nice and clean. I'm just gonna blend that out. And again, as this dries, it's gonna lighten quite a bit, this part down here. Take a little bit of that, put it right at this crease here, this crease here, right under the brim of the hat. All right. Now it is really easy to get carried away with your shadows and to keep going until your snowman looks completely gray. That you want to try to avoid. But it is easy to do. Okay, now we gotta let him dry completely once again. And let's see if there is another section we can work on. We can probably jump up to our hat without having to pause the video. So in my hat is going to be Payne's gray or black. Either is fine, whatever color you have or have on your palette would be fine. We're just going to start, we're giving a light source coming from this direction. So we're going to start on the opposite side. We're going to go right up to the edge. I'm going to do just the top of the hat for a second first. I'm going to blend it out. So it's going to be a little lighter on one side than on the other. All the way up here. And then there is going to be a little sash here, but it's just going to be a lighter gray. So you don't have to go crazy with different colors and red. We're going to put some red on top of it in a minute in our green leaves. So this little part here, whoops. There we go. Just gonna I'm pulling out color now. And just in that little sash area, just gonna dab out a little color. There we go. Okay, and then we have to go below it and do the brim. Really, I should wait for that to dry completely. So the brim, I did cover it up a little bit with blue. We're gonna wait for this to dry because you can see I got. So these two sections have to dry before we can put the brim in of the hat. So let's pause for a second. You can definitely take a break for a second. I'm gonna come back after camera magic and we're gonna get started right away. Alrighty, we're nice and dry now. Let's continue with the hat. And then we'll add some details to the face and the arms and then some more details to the background. So for the brim of the hat, this hat is a little wide. I did go over it with the blue. And it's gonna come all the way out here and all the way up. You should be able to see that pretty nicely in your outline. And then I'm just going to darken this area up here and then also right around this center gray sash area. So around, you can see now that I've added the brim and added a little bit of a darker color up above, the sash stands out nicely. Add just a little bit more dark gray to the side here. There we go. And we'll add that deep. We're going to let that dry while we work on the face and the arms, and we will add our little holly and berry detail at the end. All right, so for eyes, super simple, Payne's gray. They are going to be just little dots of coal. You can leave a tiny reflection. You just have to be careful that it's not too big and doesn't look too pupil-like. Otherwise, your snow personal starts to look a little funny. So I left 2 little dot reflections, but you could also color them in completely. If you color them in completely and don't like that and want to go back, you can always add a little bleed-proof white on top. All right, I'm going to add the mouth over here, little tiny smile. And then lastly, we're going to add in the nose, which is going to be back to that pyrrole, the transparent pyrrole orange, or any orange, any reddish orange that you have. For the little carrot nose, I'm going to put a little bit in, rinse off my brush, and just kind of blend it out so I get that brighter orange color. And then I'm just going to take a little Payne's gray, add it to the bottom, give it a little shadow. A little shadow on the face. There you go. All right, now we have our scarf. So you can do the scarf in any color you want. For our kit folks, I have put Alizarin Crimson on there, so we'll use that for the video. But you can make a blue scarf or a green scarf, yellow scarf, whatever color you want. Black scarf, you can make it a matching outfit with the top hat and the scarf. So I'm going to first start by painting kind of a light wash. So I'm going to water down my Alizarin Crimson a little bit. And I'm just going to paint the whole thing in a light wash. Still red, it's not like super pink or super washed out, but it's much lighter than as dark as this Alizarin Crimson can go. It's because I'm going to add some detail and some shadow to the scarf using the full saturation of color. I'm going to come up here, it's going to tuck underneath. I'm going to drop in some Alizarin Crimson here where the scarf kind of meets. And then also along this side. And along this side over here. Right here on this corner, I want it to be a little bit lighter. I'm just going to dab out some of that color. Also with my brush, if you have a nice small brush with a good tip, I'm going to add little bits of fringe on the bottom. If you have a liner brush, this would be great for that. Just adding a little bit of fringe. And then as that dries, I'm going to add a little Payne's gray to my Alizarin Crimson. And I'm going to start to drop in just a little on the edges here. We're going to add some more when it gets a little drier. Under the lip of this scarf here. So there, you can see it's starting to give it a little bit of a personality, making it look more fabric-like. All right, let's let that dry a little bit. And let's put in the arms. You can do these in just Payne's gray. I'm gonna use Payne's gray. You could do a brown, but I think the Payne's gray will be fine for these. You just put those right over top. And how you place your arms can really change the personality of your snow person, your snowman. Can make him look like he's like dancing or leaning forward or like gesturing. If they're crooked, they can definitely change. And you know what? I'm gonna bring this one right over so it looks like it's sticking right in the side. And then just take my brush, damp brush, and give it a little swoosh right here. And then it gives it a little, like it's sticking right in the side of that snow person. All right. Let's see here. So with your dioxazine purple and your Payne's gray, I have some mixed up right here. Just some more of this darker purple color. I'm gonna add a little bit more of a shadow under here. So right where our snowman meets the ground. And then I'm going to take my brush and blend that out. Just giving it a little more shape right there. And also I'm going to put a little bit more right here. You don't have to do this step. I'm just feeling like I want a little more separation between this top and bottom. So again, I'm going to blend it out so it doesn't have that hard edge. There we go. And as that dries, it's going to lighten again. All right, so more Payne's gray. We got buttons. We got buttons right here. 1, 2, 3. Super simple. And now while we wait for the rest of this hat to dry, which we're almost there, I'm going to put in some trees up here, some tree limbs. I'm going to use my Payne's gray because it's going to be kind of in silhouette. And these were drawn on the sample, but you might not be able to see them again. If you draw these in particular a little darker, it will help you out later on. So these are just bare branches in winter. I'm going to throw in some pine ones as well. There we go. This is a great part of the project for the rigger brush if you have one. If you have a fine rigger. Put some over here. I have to concentrate really hard when I do trees. Otherwise they always come out super funky. All right, I'm gonna throw in some pine. So I'm gonna throw in just one kind of bough is gonna be right here. Now at first it's gonna look just like the regular trees, but those are gonna be pine ones. And I'm gonna take, sap green and Payne's gray. You can even add phthalo blue to it just to make a really dark. Here, I'm gonna add it to my phthalo blue. You can see there. And some Payne's gray, nice and dark green. And for my pine, I'm actually gonna use my rigger brush for this. So really tiny, thin, long hair, long needle rigger brush. And I'm just gonna start to go all the way around this branch here. This one, and then I'm going to give it another section. I'm not done. I'm going to give it another section here. So just kind of building out this branch. With the rigger brushes, you do have to pick up paint a lot more often, just because they're so skinny. They don't hold a lot of paint they don't really have a reservoir to like hold paint in like the rest of your brushes. Go, and then this one also is going to be some pine. So pine trees mixed in with some just naked branches. And then I'm going to put one more right here, kind of coming down. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So this can take a while depending on how much or how little you want to do. Let's do just one, like coming right here. I'm trying to work quickly. I would normally work a little slower on this. So don't feel like you have to go this fast. I just know it's very repetitive, so you can fast forward through this part of the video or work right alongside me, but it's just repetitive to kind of put these pines in, which when you're listening to good music and just painting along, having a relaxing morning with your coffee, this can be a wonderful thing to paint. And I feel like I want one, just a tiny one, kind of sticking up over here. Not the whole branch coming out. And you can layer these, so you can let them dry and then go back in and put in some more darker layers or slightly longer needles in some areas, but it definitely gives it some texture, some fluff to the branches. I'll put a little one in here. There we go. All right, so we have some nice robust pine in the background. Let's take a look and revisit. So also with our sap green, this really dark color, the sap green, phthalo blue, Payne's gray combo, I'm going to put in our holly leaves on the hat. I'm using my rigger. I should be using my round because riggers don't always have as much control as you want. They make really thin lines. But when you need to fill in a shape, not always as much control as you want. And then I'm just going to put the top of one over here. So it looks like there are two leaves kind of stuck together. And then we're gonna go back to our scarf. Okay, we're gonna add a little more detail, or we're gonna go back to our alizarin crimson, I should say, because we're gonna add the berries to the hat and also some more detail with the scarf. So full alizarin crimson. Actually, I'm gonna wait to do the berries till that green is dry. So let's go back into the scarf. So I am now going in with full alizarin crimson, and I'm going to be adding some of these darker shadows to some areas of my scarf. Take my brush, blend those out. And even take a little Payne's gray and alizarin crimson and just add it right under the bottom of the scarf here to really enhance that shadow or that deepness there. Really give it some contrast. That's the biggest thing in watercolor when, you know, they can be very delicate paints and it can paint very delicate soft pastel things, and they're beautiful, but you have to work for contrast in watercolor. You really do. And that's, I love painting very richly and very contrastingly. So I love these deeper tones against these lighter tones, but you do have to work for them. You have to put in multiple layers usually. So let's take a look at the rest of our piece. We said maybe we'd want to put in some more shadows, some darker shadows in the snow. So dioxazine purple and Payne's gray, watered down to whatever kind of color you want. I'm going to put even more of a darker shadow under my snow person. I'm going to put in some darker shadows below in this grayer area. Since this is kind of in shadow, but now this will look even lighter. I'll put some under here. There, I think that looks okay. And I'm really just using kind of the what's on my brush and on the page right now. All right. I'm feeling pretty good. Let's see. I don't like this white right here. Okay. All right, yeah, I'm feeling good about this. And now lastly, you can skip this step if you don't have it, but our trusty friend, Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White, if we want it to be actively snowing, while this snow person is frolicking out here in the snow, we're gonna take some of this, water it down just a little bit. Mine is pretty watered down already. Usually using a slightly larger brush is helpful. And now you can sprinkle this anywhere you want. If you want to cover up the snow person so the snow looks like it's in the background but not falling right in front of them, you can do that. Oh, I'm going to need a little bit more water or a bigger brush. Let me get a slightly bigger brush. Sometimes using too small of a brush, like nothing really comes off of it. All right, here we go. I am going to cover up the face of my snow person. Let's see. This isn't any cleaner, but basically I'm just going to cover up the face and the bottom part, and I really want the snow to be in the background, but I don't want it to leave any weird blotches like right on the face. There we go, and you can put some down below if you want. You won't see it as much as on the blue background, but you'll still see it on the shadows. If there's anything you want to fix in the snow below, you could always go through and add a little bit of bleed proof white on some areas to create whiter areas that maybe if you got carried away. You could do that. There you go. Let's put some up here on the horizon line. And I think we're good. Excellent. All right, and there you have it, our happy little watercolor snowman in the forest on a nice snowy day. Let's peel off our tape. Now, I am using straight masking tape. I do not recommend this, but it's what I could find. If you find that your tape is too sticky, whatever you've picked, you can use a heat tool or a hair dryer to heat it up. Sorry if this is obnoxious in your ear. And then it peels off much easier. It just heats up the adhesive. There we go. Awesome. All right, so now we have this nice, beautiful border, our cute little snowman. This would make a great front to a holiday card or a lovely little piece to frame to add to your decor or any other kind of gift item that you'd like to do. So I hope you enjoyed painting with me. I'm Shayna Cersei. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. Leave a comment. Thank you so much for painting with me. As always, it's a pleasure, and happy painting, everyone.